The Garden Report is brought to you by FanDuel, the exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network.
Hey, Boy Manning here. Welcome to the Garden Report again from Washington, D.C. Capital One Arena. Not a kind visit for the Celtics here. They're falling 130 to 111 in a lackluster effort after the first few minutes. Missed shots piling up. Some frustration with fouls. We talked about that in the last video, what led to this loss, and unconcerned Celtics reaction to it across the board. Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, all talking, reacting to this one. And one of the big implications of this loss is potentially falling 3 games back of the Bucks with just 6 to go. I think it's fair to say that the Celtics all but lost their chance at the 1 seed here in this one. Now they can clinch the tiebreaker and move back within 2 on Thursday. And again, 3's assuming that the Bucks beat the Pacers tomorrow as we record this, which they should be able to do. Celtics can stay within 2 if the Bucks lose that game.
The Garden Report is brought to you by FanDuel. Sign up at FanDuel.com/Boston and get in on the action with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet.
But let's say they do take care of business against Indiana. A tough game on Thursday. Celtics are healthy. They did come into this one playing great. Again, winners of 7-9. But the Bucks have steadily been playing better basketball than them over this last month or 2 of this season. And I think the momentum stands in their favor. Home court advantage in their favor that night. So I'm liking Milwaukee's chances in that game. Of course, this could set up a bounce-back game for Boston there. But overall, Celtics have talked against seeding being super important to them. I think generally you do hear teams say that they want to be playing well going into the postseason rather than in the best seeding position. Celtics weren't the 1 seed a year ago and still beat the 1 seed in Miami in a Game 7 on the road. That's something Jason Tatum mentioned when I asked if he's worried about this loss and the potential impact on the 1 seed race coming back to haunt them. Here's what he had to say. How concerning is it that you're starting to lose ground on the Bucks with only 6 games left now? Do you think that's something that could come back and haunt you down the line?
No, not really. In the playoffs, you're going to have to win games on the road at some point. You know, last year we beat the Bucks in Game 6. And last year we beat Miami in Game 7 on the road. So at some point, you're going to have to go on the road and get a win.
That generally was how the Celtics reacted across the board to this loss. Mazzulla said he looks at it the same way coming in. They might be the 1 seed, they might not. It was largely out of their control given the deficit they faced coming into this. But due to the amount of losses they had in spots like these against the Washington, against the Utah, against an Oklahoma City, stack them up, ultimately cost the Celtics that home court advantage throughout the playoffs. Particularly home court advantage in a Game 7 against Milwaukee. That's that one spot. Yes, they won Game 6 in Milwaukee. That's a huge statement win led by Tatum in that spot. Game 7, injured Heat team, but still very impressive. Not many teams win Game 7s on the road in the playoffs, period. So I'm giving that to the Celtics. Are they playing at their best? Not in a game like this. And seeding, they have the games in hand on Philadelphia right now. That's important. Philadelphia dropped 3 straight as the Celtics came into this and still stand 2.5 games back of Boston. With a game and a tiebreaker in Boston's hands, I think you can assume that the Celtics are going to be the 2 seed. You might even like the 2 seed versus 7 seed spot for round 1. Better than what the 8 seed could be. That play-in tournament's going to be a toss-up. What you really miss, though, is playing that 4-5 winner as the 1 seed, I think. New York, Cleveland, in all probability. You would set up Philadelphia and Milwaukee and rock fight round 2 as the 2 and 3 seed if they moved on from round 1 in those spots. And when we've seen those teams play, and they will again this week, it proved to be a tough matchup for Milwaukee. 76ers ended their 16-game winning streak in pretty dominant fashion the last time those 2 teams played. So I think that's what the Celtics really miss out on here, along with just affirming the great season they had and that massive advantage they had over Milwaukee for much of this year, with some of the slip-ups through the midway and fourth quarter of this season. And tonight, I thought was maybe worst among them against Washington. And as we said in our last video, not a ton of concern on the Celtics side with this loss in particular. and not a ton of concern with potentially losing the 1 seed. So the Celtics seeding that, I know they're still going to go into Milwaukee on Thursday and play hard in that game and compete and maybe even win that one, bouncing back from a loss like this. I could easily see it, and then they're back in a good position. But they're still facing an uphill battle. And control of that finish in the East is out of their hands now, at least when it comes to the 1 seed, and they would have put themselves in a much better position, maybe even putting themselves in position to tie that spot going into Thursday if Milwaukee did lose to Indiana. Instead, they'll play as many as 3 games back, depending on the result tomorrow. What do you think of this 1 seed? Is it important? Does Joe Mazzulla have the right perspective on it, as well as Tatum? Let me know below. And that's it for us in Washington. Of course, catch all our coverage from Shoot Around this morning, ton on the White House visit, as well as Jaylen Brown's All-NBA push. And much more on CLNS Media, including reactions from this game, Celtics All Access, recapping this game. And we will see you back in Boston on Friday for Celtics Jazz. And, of course, catch our coverage remote of Celtics Bucks on Thursday here on the Celtics postgame show. I'm Bobby Manning from Washington, D.C., Capital One Arena. Celtics lose to the Wizards 130-111.